Hello, all. I wanted to share my thoughts, my ideas, my understanding on imagination and meditation, how the two are coupled. And I think to start, it'd be valuable to recognize what meditation isn't, because oftentimes we think of meditation as a place where nothing's going on in the mind, no imagination, no active imagination at all. And while we can experience that in meditation, I think it may be more valuable to see that the imagination is not just a running away of the mind that is uncontrollable. We can't control our imagination. For example, if I say, "What did you have for breakfast today?" an image pops in your mind. You were deliberate to think about that. If we're trying to create a solution in our life, we use our imagination to figure out a solution. If we're going to rearrange the room, we use our imagination to see the room complete as we want it to be done before it is physically done. So the imagination is, in a sense, the place where all of our thinking, all of our mental activity takes place. And it even has the word nation at the end of it. Coincidence? I don't know, maybe. But so consider imagination as the place in which we think, not so much as just the activity. It is represented of the activity is represented in the imagination. So we do see what is taking place in our mind through our imagination. So how do we come? What is the significance of the two? How do they relate? Because in meditation, we are, in a sense, controlling our imagination. We are attempting to confine it to our own doing rather than it running wild. Because the idea of meditation is that our mind will serve us and not being controlled by our mind, but we controlling our mind. So thinking about how is our imagination being used at any given point in time. Do we have beautiful images about prosperity and joy and love? Or do we have kind of dark images just saying about why we're struggling, what's wrong in the world, and why we shouldn't be happy? At any given point in time, our imagination is providing us some form of information, some form of image, and we are having a physical, emotional response to the use of our imagination. So when we think about meditation ultimately controlling our imagination, or at least making it to work for us, we can get to the point where we have unconscious thoughts of goodness, unconscious thoughts of delight and love and joy. And we don't have to deliberately seek those images, but they just become a natural part of who we are. Because if we think about our imagination, our mind having kind of a set point of images that come across, without any effort, those are going to come across because we have external factors kind of giving us information. And if we are not being deliberate as to how we are producing images, we are just going to kind of regurgitate that which is given to us. And we just see those images, this idea, and then we see it ourselves. But if in meditation, we can say, I choose, even just the idea of choosing to see a peaceful lake, a beautiful mountain scene, wonderful trees gently blowing in the wind. Those images produce a different feeling within the body. So in meditation, we can deliberately choose even something of those serene type of landscapes can produce that gentle, calm feeling within ourselves. So meditation and imagination are not separate, but they work together because the imagination is our mind. The imagination is kind of the storehouse, not only of information, but also the workshop, in a sense, of where that non-physical activity takes place within us. So having this understanding can allow us to kind of get a baseline as to, on a day-to-day basis, how am I using my imagination? Because if it may be daunting to think, how am I using my mind? Because that can seem so vast and so abstract. But imagination, we can kind of get a little more of a grasp on that. I am using my imagination by picturing this or that. And then we can start to decide, is that the image I want to have within me? Is that the emission that I want to produce? Because whatever we are seeing in our mind and the physiological response we're getting, that is our life in that moment. So how do I want to use my imagination to impact my life right here, right now. And that is, again, the beauty of meditation, because as we calm our mind, as we begin to close down the external senses and the external inputs, we can then get to that calm state, and we can start to decide, this is what I want to see. This is what I want to experience. And then it just becomes automatic. It becomes who we are, and we don't have to try it anymore. I mean, ultimately, we're going to continue this practice for the rest of our life because we want to maintain that sense of control. Might be too strong, but we want to maintain that sense of harmony within ourselves. So that is my understanding. I hope this is kind of shines the lights for you on the subject, and that you begin to recognize the power, the importance of your imagination, and choose to have these beautiful, loving, delightful images within you. May this find you well, and look forward to talking to you soon. Cheers.